How is it you're still single?
Because it's a way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
I don't buy that. Women like food just as much as men.
You know, if you could get a woman to actually taste your food, even you could get laid.
You play a girl elf D&D character.
So? I don't need help getting women.
I wouldn't have put it quite so eloquently, but you kind of do.
Would you find a man who cooks attractive?
Mostly for soup. It's great with some leeks and some apples.
Yes. She's cute, but she's married. She's got like a kid.
I don't see the problem.
Dude, do you do everything as well as you bake?
I haven't seen the little Wampa fart much recently.
Just cook. Food affects the same brain chemistry that sex does. People are starting to get hurt.
Crap.
Gotta pee.
Really? Couldn't just excuse me?
Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin, and that was the trailer for Pairings, the series. Find information about Pairings at pairingstheseries.com, facebook.com/pairings, and coldcast.tv. And we're talking with Ed Robinson and Rob Goki of Pairings, the series. Thanks again for joining us, guys.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got your big premiere coming up, and you've got the show itself. Where did you get the idea to work in the recipes with the food, or work in the recipes with each individual episode? I find that interesting and something that's never been done before.
Yeah, I don't feel like it has ever been done before, and I think the idea just came from watching food movies. When we had the idea for Pairings and we were writing it and coming up with the story, we started doing research by watching just about every food movie we could think of, from Julie and Julia to Ratatouille to Eat, Drink, That Woman, and we just watched them all. And I always wanted to just eat, I wanted to be able to eat what they were eating on the camera, and I felt like there's absolutely no reason that we can't let people do that. I mean, they have to do the work to prepare it themselves, but we can release the recipe because everything that we prepare that is prepared on the show is a recipe I've done as a caterer regularly, and I'm happy to share the recipe with people so that they can enjoy the show while they eat the food that
That's really great.
they see.
One of the coolest things to me when I read the scripts was the cold opens for every episode with somebody with food being prepared, because it's not normally done. It almost makes you feel like you're going to watch a cooking show.
Yeah.
But the show's so much more than that.
Do you think that composing the music for this show was a little bit different for you because it was about food? Did that play into your choices of music at all?
A little bit. I think the characters themselves had the biggest part in it. We talked about what kind of score we wanted. We wanted it to be very organic and acoustic sounding. And I had scored a previous web series with Rick Robinson, who directed a lot of pairings, called Night of the Zombie King, and there was a lot of acoustic guitar in the score, and Ed and I initially talked about that being the base of where we started. And then I think, the way it usually works is the characters tell me what the score needs to be. So I'll start somewhere, and it's a lot like writing a story. If you're writing fiction, you just let the characters take you where they need to go, and I do the same with the music.
Absolutely. I can imagine. I just realized what it kind of reminds me of. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the movie Sideways. Which is, of course, about wine. Wine and food. I mean, it goes right together.
Yeah.
Do you think that something like writing a show that has to do with wine, or excuse me, a show that has to do with food, do you think that is a bit of a challenging rather than writing something that has nothing to do with food itself, or is maybe a comedy? Do you think it's
I actually think writing about the food helped me write the series, because I started from something that I knew so well that I really tried to make the episodes, while they're not always a plot point, I feel like the recipes are a theme for each episode, and it was something that launched me into writing each series. So if anything, it was less of a challenge and more something that really helped me write, because this was really my first effort in a long time writing that. Since screenplay writing classes in college, I haven't really done anything. My brother's an accomplished writer, but the recipes were what the food that they're making was the inspiration for the show, because that launched me into thinking about where you eat, and you're often eating with family, and family became a very important part of the show. And all the different kinds of food that you eat. Yeah.
Food is its own character in the show. It's
Definitely.
it's another, in terms of music, I feel like food plays this vital role in everything that goes on in the show, and how it interacts with all the characters,
And
without giving too much away.
all of the all of those moments where you see people cooking, it really it came together when you saw Rob's music finally. I mean, when we finally were able to plug that in and he'd scored it. I mean, I think I said it to him once that he was providing the soul to our show, and I stand by that.
Music is the backbone.
Yeah.
Everyone gets food poisoning and dies in the last episode.
Yeah, thanks for spoiling it. Great.
That might be a good way to end the
That was
series.
the best cue to write. Ed and Rick were great to work with. It was a really fun process and an easy process, to the point that when we hit the 6th episode, I was waiting for a 7th, and I realized we were done, and it was kind of disappointing because I wanted to keep going.
Well, hopefully we'll be doing season 2 soon.
So you find a lamp and you rub it, and a genie comes out of it, and he says, Ed, I can do whatever you want to happen with Pairings the series will happen. What would you want to happen?
Oh man, if I had a genie, I would definitely love to be able to get onto a cable show and have it on as a half an hour television scripted show.
I don't think the Food Network or the Cooking Channel has scripted shows. That would be a great idea for them.
They don't yet.
You never know. Pairingstheseries.com. We're going to be back in just a minute to talk to you guys a little bit more about that. If you have questions for Ed Robinson or Rob Goki of Pairings the Series, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225, and we'll be back on La La Land today on CRN Digital Talk.
Gives me